Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the great city of Opa-locka. This is our workshop. Today is Monday, July 18th, 2022. The time is now 6:25. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
I'm here.
Commissioner Dominguez,
Here.
Mayor Williams,
I'm here. Invocation led by Commissioner Bass, followed by Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Father, we thank you for this is truly a day that you have made. We thank you, Lord God, for allowing us to be in this place. Help us, oh God, to be able to understand, oh God, what we are about to face and disseminate, God. God, we give you praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. At this time, we're going to ask the city manager to come up and deliver his presentation on the American Rescue Plan Act.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor and honorable members of the commission, city clerk, city attorney's office. This workshop is to discuss our capital improvement projects and also for us to have recommendations and discussions regarding the utilization of the American Rescue Plan Act funding that we have received. So if I could have the slide presentation queued up. Thank you. So as you'll see on this first slide, we have beautification initiatives and projects, American Rescue Plan Act, and current projects. We decided because we needed resources from several different streams, including grants, including our general fund, and also the ARPA, that we wanted to detail all of the priorities of the city. As I shared with many of you individually and collectively, the ARPA fund, when I've had discussions with you all and also discussion with the department heads, has been spent several times over. So we wanted to rank in detail for you all of the things that the city must get done, and also to provide some things that we could do and to provide some things that we'd like to do. And also to provide you, we also set aside some funding, about $1 million for direct recommendations from the commission. So if we'll go to the next slide. I'm going to start with the discussion on the beautification initiatives and parks and recreation projects. And with a little bit of public works in there, because we've set aside about $2 million in the next fiscal year's budget from our general fund, not from our ARPA, from our general fund, which we intend to engage in. So I wanted to cover these projects so that you know that these are projects that we have funding for in our budget for next year that will not require support from ARPA. That is why we're able to free up some of the ARPA funding for utilization by the commission. So out of our beautification projects, we have about 10 projects. The first one is the illegal dumping project. The second would be abandoned structures and vacant lots. 3 is community involvement. 4 is our swells. 5 is gateways. 6 is our waterways. 7 is our medians. 8 is our parks. And 9 is residential commercial property appearance. And 10, we have some funding for trees. Now, if we go to the next slide. Here you see Parks and City Image Enhancement Projects Initiative Fund, as I stated earlier, from our general fund. So this is not going to be utilized for ARPA, but these are some of the things that we were looking at for ARPA that I can say to you tonight. We are going to fund these things with our general fund. So as you see here, that first item is the legal dumping, which is an estimated cost of about $604,000. That will be coming from our general fund. That is extremely high. Due to the severity of the problem that we have with illegal dumping right now. We're in a conversation with Miami-Dade County to open up a transfer station that will allow residents to actually come to a location within the city of Opa-locka to get rid of some of their refuse. But until that time, in order to get the city cleaned up, we have several different sites that are situated for illegal dumping that have three figures of a three-figure cost for cleanup. So we're going to have to fund that out of our general fund. And as you can imagine, that's going to be our first stage of beautification. Next, we've also set aside about $620,000 for park appearance and programs. I'm very excited about this particular line item. We've got a lot of good things in there, about $250,000 for our seniors, about $50,000 for several park projects, individual park projects. And then we've got, about $100,000 each in overhaul of our major parks, such as Siegel, Shabundy, and Ingram. We're going to be completing our master parks plan that will detail each project further, but we've set aside $620,000 in our general fund for next year, which we believe will cover that. This next project is something just new that came about as our engagement with our community development department and engagement with our historic preservation board. And that's looking at our gateways. And that is the entry points to the city of Opa-locka. I like that when you go into sister cities, you have these nice uniform signs that says, welcome to this city. And when you're coming out of that city and coming in, crossing over to the city of Opa-locka, you may get notification, you may not. So we're planning to correct that with about $300,000 from our general fund for next year to cover signage on all of our major thoroughfares and entryways and entry points into the city of Opa-locka. Our next item is an item that we have been discussing since April. It's our resident painting program. We've set aside $20,000 for that. That's our proposal to fund that program with ARPA funds. We've been working on that for a few months now. The resolution that passed directed the city manager to look for grants as a source of funding, but I'd like to recommend that we consider funding this program with the ARPA funds, as I think that's a very, very useful, very, very good use for those dollars. Finally, we've set aside about $390,000 for landscaping. This is just get us to where we can get it to a place of maintenance. Several areas in our city, particularly our alleyways and areas behind homes as far as our and our major medians, really need some TLC. So we've set aside about $390,000 in our budget for our general fund. So that total cost for beautification, about $1 million in beautification projects and about $900,000 in parks projects, brings us to a total of about $1.9 million in allocation from our general fund to discuss some of these items that we have been reviewing. Before I proceed on, any questions regarding any of these projects?
I just have a question.
Absolutely.
Gateways. I can think of 3. How many do we have?
Okay. We actually have, this funding is to rebuild 8 gateways and install plants. It also will install, repair irrigation at the 8 gateways. So if we want to put some flowering plants there, we'll have that opportunity as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any further
So is
questions?
this just to restore them, or we're gonna add more?
So if you, so the plan is to replace them.
Replace them?
Because if you look at the page that's dedicated to gateways, where you'll see we actually have 6 current gateways. All of them look different logos, different colors. And then 2 of our gateways actually don't have any signage whatsoever. So we want to develop one uniform signage and utilize that moving forward at all of our entry points.
So on the gateways, I'm pleased to know this because I know those who Mr. Austin knows and a few others that this has been something that I've said, uniformity I'm big on aesthetics, and I think that when people drive through our city, that's the first thing you see. So visuals are first. And so I'm glad to know that gateways are in this. My question was on the illegal dumping. So there have been like several legislations on illegal dumping. Is this on top of that legislation, or did the legislation get all lumped into one?
This is in addition to the legislation. This is in support of and in conjunction with the legislation that was passed. So we will continue to run our illegal dumping program. We'll still continue to run our call center. We'll continue to have officers that will go out and address that. And in fact, we're going to enhance it by installing cameras at certain locations to assist us, so that when we do get the call, we can actually pull up the cameras to help us to assist our police force with locating the culprits.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because I know with my illegal dumping legislation, it also had the cost for if you were caught. It was a fine of up to $1,000, I believe, Mr. Austin, maybe you can, something like that. Or, no, a reward, sorry, it was a reward, I was backwards, yes, there was a reward of up to 1,000. And then that signage were, the regular metal signs that, of course, the county what makes, correct? So
Correct.
are we going to actually do that part? That part that was in the initial legislation and never
I
got done?
did review the legislation and I did not see the metal component, but if you allow me to, that you were discussing, but if you allow me to review, absolutely. If it's undone, we'll get it done.
Oh, okay. I think we're good. You can keep going.
Fantastic. So this portion covers illegal dumping, abandoned structures and vacant lots. We're doing some community involvements, improving our swells and covering our gateways, and then also improving our waterways. So we're actually going to be bringing forward to the commission some resolution to assist us with that as well. And then finally, looking at our medians. If we want to talk a little bit about our medians, we're looking for issuance of an RFP for landscape maintenance services. So that's what that cost is going to be for. We anticipate bringing that resolution forward within the next 90 days. And then, as I discussed, a little bit more specifics about some of our planning for our parks is to kind of renovate the walking trails at Ingram and Siegel Park, which we've also applied for a grant. Looking at our tot lot sunshades, the addition of much mulch, rubber at the perimeters, particularly in Siegel, Shabundi, Ingram, and Magnolia North, and enhance the park's entrance with planting and new signage. In particular, since this is coming from the general fund, I want to highlight that some of these projects that we've already started. As you may note, or you may have noticed, we've already begun fencing around both Shabundi Park and also Siegel Park. And you may have also noticed that we've also begun to install additional lighting at Siegel Park. So if there's no further questions, I'd like to call regarding the use of general funds to cover some of our beautification and parks project. I'd like to call up our department head for capital improvement projects, Ms. Adelina Gross. And on this particular portion, I just would ask that you all bear with us. It's not the most exciting portion of our presentation tonight, but I would have to say that it is the most important. Just to provide you with some overall numbers and give you some background. With our stormwater drainage, we have severe flooding within the city of Opa-locka in several areas with an immediate need of about $10 million and an ongoing need of about $20 million. Historically, the city of Opa-locka had in several locations installed temporary piping for sewage that was placed in the 70s. That was never replaced with permanent piping. So for every 100 liters that we push through our pipes, we lose about 40 liters that seep through the ground through the clay pipes that are installed there. We estimate that the immediate need for that for the entire city is about $20 million. And over time could be up to as much as $100 million. So we'd like to take the majority of these, since we're going to be funding both our parks programs and our beautification programs through our general fund, we'd absolutely feel the need to allocate the majority of our ARPA funds to our stormwater drainage to address our flooding and our water and sewage issues. These are very, very important projects. We're prepared to discuss them at length. And we still will have have about another $1 million remaining from the ARPA funds funding these projects for us to consider other options with. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Gross.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Good evening, Commission. Good evening, Madam Mayor. We are recommending water and sewer projects for the ARPA funds. And the first project that we recommend is a pump station number 12, the rehabilitation. The total project cost is $755,000. We are anticipating estimated cost for construction of $700,000. The $55,000 remaining have been already covered by the general fund, and that's part of the design. And the estimated time frame to complete this project is 24 months. However, this project is already ongoing because we are on the designing and permitting phase. For pump station number 16, we are funding $250,000 through ARPA. The reason for this is because we have applied for a grant for this project, and we are in expectancy of receiving those funds. The total project cost for this will be $805,000. We want to install flow meters for our 19 pump stations, and that will be a total cost of $400,000, and that process is going to take around 36 months to be completed. For Miami Gardens service lines, we are anticipating $800,000 out of the ARPA funds, and the rest will be expecting to come from the state revolving fund loan that we are going to be renovating. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, for a total cost of $2,150,000. Any questions regarding these projects? Next slide, please.
Before you proceed with that particular point, I would also like to bring to the commission's attention that for that last project, the Miami Garden service lines, we've actually applied for $800,000 from the state revolving loan. So there is a possibility that we may not require this to be funded from ARPA.
For our stormwater and roadway projects, we know that this is the part that people don't see, but actually is the one that affects them on their everyday life. We are anticipating to do point repairs on Sharasat Boulevard to mitigate the flooding on around $165,000. The second phase and third phase of the Burlington Canal Restoration Program will be $500,000, and Commerce North is $3,555,000. Commerce North includes Alibaba, 147, Alexandria, and this will be drainage, sewer, and stormwater as well. This is an estimated cost. Do we have any questions on these projects?
These are mostly canals.
The second one is a canal. The first one is drainage and stormwater. And the third one will be drainage, utilities, and roadway for the commerce area. This is one of the areas that has been affected severely by the flooding, and the pavement in that area is very deteriorated.
What's the address for the commerce?
Sorry?
The address?
That will be the area between Alibaba and 151st Street, between 22nd and 27th Avenue.
Alibaba?
Alibaba and 151st. That triangle, that
On
polygon actually.
22nd Ave.
Yes,
Okay.
This is the area where we've experienced some of the worst flooding in the city, where we've had two national businesses to actually complain to the governor's office, also to the county mayor's office, and also to our district commissioner's office. So that's our Commerce North area.
the estimated total for these projects are 4.2. Next slide, please. For the summary of the projects that the staff is recommending, we have a total amount of 6,370,000. And that will cover water, sewer, stormwater, waterways, and the roadway infrastructure.
Okay, now I have a question.
Yes.
Does this, I don't know if maybe it's in the package or maybe we're gonna get to it. Sesame Street.
Is in the package, we will get to it.
We're gonna
but-
get to that?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Okay.
and that's not gonna be funded through ARPA, it's gonna be funded through general fund. Next slide, please. So now we will go to the capital improvement projects that are current. We have an estimated cost for roadway of 12.3, and expenditures today 6.7. For parks, 478,000, and expenditures today 35,000. I'm rounding up the numbers, so if you have any questions, just let me know. Buildings, it will be 4.9, and expenditure up to date 2.4. Water and sewer, 1.3, expenditure today 30,000. Stormwater, 8.164, that's for immediate projects. And the expenditure today is 346,000. For a total amount of 27 million point two, and total expenditures of 9.5. Next slide, please.
Quick question, Ms. Rose.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Yes.
What's the percent of our whole going to capital improvements?
For ARPA,
Yes.
it will be 8 million, around 70%, 75%.
So 75% of our ARPA funds are going to capital improvements?
Yes. That will include pavement throughout Commerce North area, drainage installation through several points in the city, our waterways, and the water and sewer pump stations.
So in the past, when we've received money via, when the state legislation was in session, can't we also go for grants? Are we still doing that part? I mean, and before you move on, just in case, I just want to put on record, what's the total? What's the total that we were given for ARPA?
For ARPA, we were giving $1 million. We are consulting with a firm that's going to cost 5%, that will be 400,000.
Okay.
So we will have an estimated amount of 7.6 after that consultant fee is taken out. And for the projects, we are anticipating an estimated cost of 6.3.
Okay, so after everyone gets their, administrative fees and everything.
Yeah.
25% of the ARPA fund will now go into the things that the commission and the citizens want to make happen, like the beautification projects, and everything else is to go to capital improvement.
So if I may interject here, as I
Yes.
started at the top, those projects are being funded by the general fund. $2 million is coming out of the general fund to fund both beautification projects and the parks and recreation projects.
So where's the 25% that she just said? If 75% is going to capital improvements?
What's your question, Madam Mayor?
Ms. Gross said 75% was going to capital improvement of the whole, of the 100, the pie.
Yes,
Where's the 20, the other, if the general fund is if we're taking you said 2 million from the general,
1.9, yes, correct.
okay,
Two.
from the general fund to fund the beautification projects and everything else, then where's the 25% going? Where's
Well-
that? Yeah,
Yes, as I stated earlier, we set aside $1 million for the commission to direct on top of the other beautification projects and on top of the $1 million for the parks and $1 million for the beautification program. But I was hoping that because these projects need to be funded so that we can stop the flooding, so that we can stop this raw sewage on the streets, and that our hole is so significant. We received $8 million in ARPA funding, and we require immediately about $20 million to address these issues. So we wanted to set aside about $6 million to at least stop the bleeding. And you're going to need in the future probably another $13 million within the next 5 years, and probably another $80 million in the next 10 years. So I would hope that this commission and the citizens that are tired of the flooding, that are tired of raw sewage on their street, are tired of the blockage in their toilets, would want to fund those projects to address those things. On top of still getting $1 million for beautification program, $1 million for parks and recreation, and another $1 million for the commission to spend at its will.
I
okay.
have a question. By when does this money have to be spent? Do we have a timeline, a time frame?
December 31st, 2024.
Say that again?
Encumbered by December 31st, 2024. And it's spent by 2026
So everything has to be encumbered by
by
December 31st
of next year.
of 2024.
Actually 24, yeah, sorry.
So the $5 million that I'm looking at for buildings, right? That has nothing to do with sewage in the street, or that's just to upgrade our buildings in our city, correct?
Yes, those are projects that are currently funded either through a grant or through the general fund.
Okay,
These are capital improvement projects. If
okay,
you go
so,
back to the next, to the other slide. What we are proposing is water and sewer infrastructure and stormwater, waterways and roadway infrastructure from ARPA.
okay, so what Mr. Manager was saying, the that's 6 million, right? I'm trying to see. 6 million, 370 is for everything that the manager just said, the sewage, the people are tired of walking slush,
Yes.
which is true. But yet, the next slide you just had up, 5 million are going to improve our buildings.
The 5 millions, can you please move to the next slide, Lugo? The 5 millions, that will include the historic city hall and other buildings around we are going to give you, that includes historic city hall, the police department, that will have a grant for historic city hall. We have already allocated some funds from GOV, and we are seeking more grants to complete that project.
Okay, I'm
We were ready.
confused by that. I'm done, yeah. You have a question? Anyone question?
Yes. Thank you for alluding to it. The buildings, the 5 buildings. You said the old city hall. You also said the police department.
Yes.
What are the other 3?
Give me just a moment. Cannot remember anything. Okay, we have the historic fire station, the building and license department relocation that we are doing in-house the design, and we already started the process. And the police station and the historic city hall.
Okay, not the building behind City Hall. Because there's 2 of them.
No, that will be historic fire station and the HR building. Those are the 2 buildings behind.
Okay, so they are a part of that project, both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
So for the water and sewer, this is 1,350,000, and stormwater 8,164,000. For a total of 27 million and expenditures today of 9.5. If you can go to the next slide, please. The first project that we have on the list is Cairo Lane. This project started back in May 2015. We are anticipating a completion date for June 2023. As of this moment, the project is 50% of construction have been completed. The project cost is 8.18 thousand, and we have allocated funds as of this moment of 1.3 with expenditures today of 4.14. The rest of the funding source will be FDEP. And as of today, we are doing the redesign. The water main has already been almost completed with a 90%. The forms main and the stormwater system are respectively at 75% and 85%. Once all this is completed, the road pavement will be done. Any questions on Cairo Lane?
Okay.
Yeah.
The one you just did was Cairo Lane, correct?
Yes,
All right, the resolution that we passed a couple months ago, that was the temporary fix of Cairo Lane. So this is completion, this is not a Band-Aid. This is gonna be the,
the resolution that was passed back in, if I'm not
is it March or?
wrong, was back in October. It was for a reassessment since the project has been abandoned for a couple of years. We weren't to do the reassessment of the project and the redesign.
Oh, no, not the bridge. I was going back to Cairo Lane. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you go back? Thank you. So what we did was the reassessment of the structures there and the conditions of the road. So what we have completed that process. We are going to be presenting to the commission. The second phase will be the redesign of that project, so we can complete it by next year.
Okay, so this is not a temporary.
No,
fix,
this is
or
not
gonna
temporary.
be
This is the final completion
the
of
final
that project.
completion to be finished by next year.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one that we have is Sesame Street Culvert Design and Reconstruction. We started this project back in March 2022. We are estimating April 2023 for completion of construction. The status as of this moment is that the design is ongoing. Total project cost is 937,000, and the allocated funds through the general fund will be 800,000. We have an expenditures today of 5,752. That will be only for the assessment part and also for the permanent striping that was done to close that area and remove the barricades.
So the problem there is the bridge wind wall that is failed. That's why that area has been closed since
has been-
October of last year.
Yes, and the reason for that is because of safety. Any truck or any car passing through there can fall into the canal. And as of the directions from Miami-Dade County, we had to close that space and for safety issues. As of this moment, we are we have already received part of the design, and we are into the permitting process that will be ending by December this year. It's a lengthy process for the permitting.
It's a what?
A lengthy process for the permitting since it has to involve several agencies.
So when will it start? I mean,
The
When-
actual
when-
project,
mhm.
it will be starting by December this year and finishing by April next year. Next one. Any additional questions on the Sesame Street? So our next project is paving and soil regrading for 147. This funds was already allocated and the resolution have already passed from the city commission for this project of $122,800. We are expecting, since the major issue in this area is actually flooding, we are actively looking for a contract and a vendor that can install temporary drainage into the meantime that we can come to a permanent solution into this area. We could start the process of the pavement, that could be, but it's not going to be the solution for the actual issue. So we are looking into install drainage so we can avoid the flooding and regrading the swells as well.
Okay, I have a quick question.
Yes.
And a quick concern. I understand and I'm not opposed to it, that we need to fix the flooding in the commerce area, but I don't see anything here addressing the residential areas. Specifically, we can talk about Atlantic Avenue, where you go into the senior citizen building on the east side of our city, it floods right there in the area, like floods. And even if you go a couple streets over, I believe it's 139th Street, it floods, that whole median floods, and the water is really high. But I see we're addressing a lot of industrial area, but we're not addressing the residential area. So is that something that we're going to address, Mr. Manager? Because I don't even see it.
I can give you an update. We actually have an RFP that it's supposed to be coming into review by the 27th for drainage improvements.
Mhm.
That will be point repairs, cleaning, and CCTV. Because most of those areas, the actual issue is that the drainage that is there has not been properly maintained for the last couple of years. And once you maintain that area or those drainage in specific, for example, Atlantic and 139th Street, you will mitigate the flooding. Of course, there will be projects that will be added to those areas, but the first point of address is have to be clean. Because first, I will give you Sharasat Boulevard example. We had major flooding between 27 and Amat. That area was clean back in February.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that we still have some flooding. However, the water is not sitting by days. It was sitting on days when before that was clean and inspected. We did discover where the actual failure was, that we already fixed that. And that will be under Public Works, but Mr. Austin, I think he doesn't have any issue with me on providing information. The flooding in that area has been mitigated. And that's only because of maintenance.
Okay,
Once those areas are addressed with maintenance, proper maintenance and regular maintenance, flooding will be much relief in those areas.
so that's not something we're doing in CIP, it's something you're doing through, and it's
It
not coming out of ARPA, it's coming through our
It's-
actual public works,
is coming through a stormwater funds. Yes.
stormwater funds, but we don't know when.
Yeah, it's
For
coming this
residential,
year. It has,
specifically residential.
especially for the residential areas. That's one of the first areas that we are going to be addressing for cleaning and inspecting.
Okay, because I heard you mention RFP, so my next question is, when will we see that?
And we are going to the 27th of this month.
Oh, this is coming meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
no, you already received the RFP. It has been already presented to the public, so they can bet on it. And we are receiving back the RFP proposals, say, the 27th
Got it.
for review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gross, I've
Yes.
been writing some questions down. So according to the ARPA website, there's a website. Expenditures of economic impact from COVID-19 should also be there to assist small businesses, households, and those industries that were hit hard by COVID. And as I see, the only thing that's listed to assist household are the residence painting program, which is only $20,000. So how are we assisting our residents if that's the only thing? Now, are we planning to put that under the $1 million that the commission was budgeted? Or is that a process that, because I don't know, 'cause it says assistance to small businesses. There's nothing here that says that. Households, individual households. So we have renters, we have people, seniors that are late on their rent, that need, that are out of work or can't, not just seniors, but people that need that assistance. And they were economically impacted by COVID-19 to, when we talk about, beautification or even taking care of their yard or streets, the streets nearby, their alley, and then hard hit industries. Where does that fit?
So I'll address that, Madam
Okay.
Mayor. So as city manager, we look at all of our resources and all of our financial resources to address all of the needs of the city. This recommendation is for this utilization of the ARPA funds. As we've discussed here, we have $2 million allocated for those type of programs that you have discussed. We have $1 million set aside for Parks and Recreation. We have another $1 million set aside for beautification. And then we also have another $1 million if you care to, if it be the will of the commission, to add on top of those programs. In addition, we also have funding coming from our CRA, which we have written several different programs to assist, which are also the city's taxpayer dollars and resources. One would be a rental assistance program, one would be a mortgage assistance programs, one would be a business grant program. All of those things will help our residents and help our small businesses.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is outside of the 1 million that's allotted for beautification and the other 1 million that's allotted for the commission to really I just wish we had something else outside of CRA. I do understand that CRA have the renters but there's nothing in terms of for our own residents. I'm talking about this painters program, like there's nothing else. What else are we doing for our residents that was hard hit under COVID?
Again, if it be the will of commission that we do not support and do not fund the stormwater program and the water and sewer program and allocate more funding to those programs, that's what we're here for. We'll do the will of the commission.
So no, I'm not saying not to fund them because
Well, I mean,
you're
there's
saying, no, I'm not saying not to fund. You kind of.
well, if we take money, the money has to be allocated some kind of way. So
Well,
if we want to put more funding of the ARPA funding to those type of programs on top of the other allocations from the general fund, which is about $2 million, and another allocation of $1 million from the CRA, we can do that if it be the will of the commission, but it will be at the cost of supporting programs to address our water and sewer and our flooding issues. So I just want us to be really clear on that.
okay, so my next question is, so all the capital improvement, we all know that the capital improvement, just like Vice Mayor Taylor said, to have it done, right, and done right. But we know there are going to be operating costs associated with all these, with all the capital improvement projects. Wouldn't that take more money in the long run from the city for operating costs?
Absolutely. As I said before, the reason why the recommendation for the allocation for the ARPA funding is now is that your current need, your immediate need is about $20 million. So you want to try, and it's going to be about $50 million within the next 5 years, and it's going to be about $80 million in the next 10 years. So we want to try to stop the bleeding as much as possible so that the residents can enjoy being able to flush their toilets and it go through, and so that we don't have sewage on our streets and so that we don't have flooding. So the city manager's office has allocated these funds and made recommendations to address your highest needs and your greatest concerns. And absolutely, we will do the will of the commission. If it be the will of the commission to reallocate some of these funding, we're prepared to do that.
Okay, and so let me make it clear. Let me make it clear. So all the commission lives in Opa-locka. So of course we want to flush our toilets. And of course we want proper drainage. So that's not the point. The point is there's nothing for our citizens here. And that is the part that I think we all would like to see something. So maybe you all can go back to the drawing board and figure out where that can come from. Did we work with a federal rep to make sure that all these projects are eligible for use under ARPA?
All those projects are eligible for use under
I'm sorry, I
ARPA.
don't.
Oh, sorry. All the projects are eligible for use under ARPA because we received less than 10 millions and the city has, I would say, lenience to decide where that funds allocated will be going to.
So a federal rep said, you're right, infrastructure can be used, but 75% of ARPA funds used to infrastructure? Did a
100
federal rep approve that?
Well, I don't think that it hasn't been, but according to ARPA guidance, 100% could be used into infrastructure. But if the commission has any additional guidance, we will.
Yeah,
course.
I would definitely like to see more go to our residents. I would like to
Okay.
see something more than nothing, because right now there's nothing.
So, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
would you, could you give us a number? How much you would like to see? So that we
Oh.
have something some guidance?
I actually have here from another city, from Coral Springs, how they actually set up their ARPA input. And it says here, as a result of the American Rescue Plan Act's survey and community input at our city events, this is a breakdown of what residents indicated they would like to see ARPA funding directed towards. And it's a lot. 44% is for infrastructure. We have security enhancement, citywide aesthetics, park enhancement, digital equity initiative, housing assistance, public health responses, green solar initiative, city facility improvement, business recovery and workforce, parks, green solar initiative, healthcare, mental health resources, arts and cultural assistance. So it's like broken down, but this here seems like everything is going to infrastructure. And it doesn't seem like it's not really broken down like a pie. It seems like the pie is going to one section and that's it.
Okay, understood. We were planning actually for the 10, 20 years of Opa-locka. We do understand that the citizens' concerns and the residents' concerns, the immediate concerns that they have and the impact that they had from COVID, it's important and it's affecting them right now. We were actually planning on presenting this to how Opa-locka will be doing in the 10, 20 years and how can you actually bring more businesses if you fix those pump stations and bring them to a higher capacity, and you can actually increase the revenue of the city, repairing some areas such as the commerce areas and avoiding the flooding and the mitigation of the pavement. But I think, Mr. Manager, you're up.
That commerce area sounds new because I've never heard of that. Where did that name come from? Commerce area. That sounds like it's new.
Well, we have two commerce
Different?
areas into the city, Commerce North and Commerce West. We are addressing Commerce North as of this moment because it's one of the biggest impacts right now due to flooding and the type of businesses that are in those areas. We have junkyards, we have recycling, ball builders, etc. Stuff that are heavy on the pavement and that are deteriorating the pavement and the drainage in those areas, plus the contamination.
Okay, if I hear my colleagues correct, I think we're all on the same page with this one. We're not saying that it's not important and we're not saying don't do it, but you're saying 10, 20 years from now, our residents want something now. The 10, 20 year from now program, we heard 10 years ago. So, and we're here 10 years later and we're still having the same argument or the same
Strategic
concerns.
planning.
So we're trying to give our residents something now that they can see. We're not opposed to it and we all think that it should be done. I believe that you should address the flooding in the commerce area. I think you should do it now, but I also think we should do it in harmony with our residential areas. So if we're going to do, if we're for every street where there's businesses, let's do a street in a residential area. But
Okay.
there's nothing addressing the flooding on the streets in residential areas. Everything is addressing the flooding in the commerce areas. And our citizens have suffered longer. And those houses, some of those houses have been there longer than the businesses in those particular areas that we speak of. So yes, fix the flooding. I'm saying, fix the flooding on those, in those commerce areas, but also fix the flooding in those high flooding areas in our residential areas as well.
Mhm.
So we have to do, we can't just do for one part of our city and ignore the other. That's what, well, at least that's what I'm saying. And I hear my commissioners saying, well, they're shaking their heads, so that I think they agree.
So if I may, Vice Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
and if you can provide the details in a different format, please support me on this, Ms. Gross. So for our residential areas, we already have stormwater drainage in those areas. What we're working to do is unclog those areas so that the flooding no longer continues, that it becomes abated, so it goes down. That's already in place. We're doing that now. We don't require ARPA funding for that. For the commercial areas, there's actually no stormwater drainage in place, which is the heavy expenditure that keeps getting kicked, the can that keeps getting kicked down the road.
No,
So-
we got that, Mr. Manager, but it was never stated. So, well, she just stated it tonight, but had we known that that was in the works, or this is what we're looking to see, then that argument would not have taken place. But it just seems like we're only talking about residential capital improvement for the commerce area and nothing for our residents, that our residents can be happy about. And you talked about flushing the toilet. Like 17th Avenue, the water pressure is low. So it's really low. So
I think for me, what I see is a common thread of putting the cart before the horse. So had we, and it seems to be a common trend of having the talks or asking the commission in terms of, workshop or it could have been a, email. What do you see, or what are your thoughts? And that hadn't happened until tonight. So what it is, we're looking at, which is a great presentation, whoever put this together. It's really great. I'm assuming that's you, Ms. Gross.
Actually, that's my team.
Oh, okay, well, whoever is,
It really
very nice, very nicely done. However, we're now, so the work has been done and now we got to back up because no one really got our thoughts or opinions or in a workshop setting, or even if it was, in a survey setting, in a survey that went straight to the manager's office in terms of what would you like to see and by percent or, something, we could have done that. So now we're here and now, again, I always talk about planning with the end in mind. All this work was done and I can't give a figure. I mean, whoever did this breakdown is absolutely amazing because I can't sit here and say, well, take $1.2 million from this project and give it to our residents. Like, I can't do that on the spot right now. Being asked to do that is quite frankly not fair for me because I was never asked until tonight. So I think that that's what we're saying we would like to see. I can't give a figure. I'm not saying all the rest of the 25%. I'm just saying we would like to see more go to our residents that struggled during COVID. And that needs to look some way. And so we are taking it back, putting it back on the staff to come up with something where we're not actually taking it from our budget, but it's actually coming from ARPA, if that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
If I may,
Yes.
I believe that I've heard what everybody said, so I'm sitting here being quiet, trying to make, sense of it. the $1 million that was set aside for mayor commission usage, we can use some of that, since it's at our discretion, to do some residents projects.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that is exactly how we planned it. We set aside $1 million for beautification, $1 million for Parks and Recs, and then another $1 million for the will of the commission. And to address directly what Madam Mayor is saying, by statute, that's the purpose of the workshop, for us to put together our recommendations, present it to you all, and get the will of the commission, your feedback. That's the time. This is the time now at this workshop for us to get your feedback and to go back and work on the feedback that you provide us.
No, and I understand that. I'm saying to have had done all of this work and now saying to go back and dismantle some of it, not all of it, but some of it, in order to make it fit into our recommendation. What we could have done is set it on the front end, and then it could have been included so that we didn't have to stop to ask all these questions. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Any other
Do
questions?
you allow me to provide a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Thank you. If Lubo, if you go to the last slide of the presentation, that would be where the funds allocated for the commission discretion is 1.202,009. 1.229,000. My suggestion will be that if you can provide us with a list of those initiatives that you would like for us to work on, we can actually come back to you and provide you with an estimated cost of how's that going to look like. Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
So if we go to the last slide, Lubo. So we have, okay. So we have available ARPA funds for 8 million. We have the independent consultant firm for 400,000. That will leave us with the 7.6 million. We are recommending the 300,000 for infrastructure. And that will leave the commission with the discretionary funds of 1.200,000 to 1.229,775 for your discretion to use. My suggestion is that you provide us with a list of initiatives that you would like to see, or projects that you would like to sponsor through the either capital improvement projects, park recreations, or any other project with citywide. And we can provide you with an estimate of how much those projects are going to cost, or how can we elaborate on those initiatives that you already have.
I'm good with that. My only issue, well, not issue, but not because you answered my question, was about the infrastructure, but you talk about the drainage cleaning that you're gonna do. So I'm okay, as long as we have something in place
We do
that
have
talks to
something
our
in place.
residents. That happens like soon. Very, 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 very.
It's
soon.
happening very soon.
So I would like to see more than $1,200,000
Yeah.
given to this. Because, so what I'm hearing is we need to then, our recommendations are for the residents, not, I mean, like like the painting program and just those residential things that we want for.
Painting
That-
program and some parks and recreation
Yeah.
fund
Okay.
programs have already been funded through the general fund. We have already allocated funds through that. That's the 1.9 millions that we're
Okay,
presenting at the
so
top,
Is that what I'm?
including the
things that
gateways
we
and
want, those are
and the legal dumping.
I'm not going to beat the dead horse. I think that's too low.
Oh, it's okay.
But
Yes, we can revisit, and I think you will, if We'll go back to the CIB presentation, so you are in an update, so see what projects are going right now and what projects have been completed already, okay? Lugo, if you can go back to milling and resurfacing.
Madam Mayor, while she's doing that, can I just put something on the record really quickly? The comments that have been made tonight are not based on studies or expert testimony as to the discussion regarding infrastructure and flooding. Nothing said tonight should be intended or interpreted to be an admission of liability as to flooding or negligence on the part of the city. Nothing said tonight should be considered as an admission for any potential claims or an acknowledgement or an admission by the city as to fault liability whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you for putting that on the record.
So back in June 2018, the city started a milling and resurfacing projects that includes residential areas and commercial areas. As of today, we have completed 30 miles of roadway with a project cost from phases 1 to 5 of 2.1 millions. This has been funded through general fund, fuel taxes, and CITT funds. If all the areas in blue that you see there have been already completed. Once we do the milling and resurfacing, we also do the striping on those areas. Next slide, please. Oh, any question on this area?
What was what did you say about the striping? You went out.
Once we do the milling and resurfacing, once we redo the pavement, striping is also included into those areas.
Okay, and when is that set to be? When is that set to be?
That has been already completed. We have already completed 30 miles up to this year.
No, but you said once we finish, that's why, when is it? You said once we finish, then we can start the striping.
No, once we complete the street, we do the striping right away.
Oh.
So if you notice, let's see. Zoom into my map. So if you notice some of these areas where all you see all those blue marks, all those blue lines, those areas have been already re-striped and pavement has been completed. So
Okay.
that roadway has been restored.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. In November 2020, we started installing new sidewalk citywide. This is going by phases. We are currently on phase 3. As of this moment, we have completed 2.8 miles of sidewalk, and we are expecting to complete by August this year 5.5 miles. That will be 2.7 miles additional to what's already completed. Project cost phases 1 to 3 is $1,070,000. The allocated fund is $1,070,000, since this as well has been funded through the general fund, fuel taxes, and CITT funds. Next slide, please, if there are no questions on this area. Ingram Park basketball and tennis court reconstruction. We started back in March 2022. We already completed the testing. It was determined that it was not a drainage issue, it's not a water issue, it's just bad construction that was done at the beginning. We have anticipated a cost of $150,000. We have already allocated $50,000 for the basketball court to be reconstructed. That's Ingram Park.
Quick question.
Yes.
I don't see it on here, but the canal, is that a part of it too? That
Which-
runs side by side of the park?
It's not part of it, but that canal, we are going to be doing phase 1, that's Burlington Canal. We are going to be doing phase 1. We are already in the permitting process for that, and the dredging and restoration of the canal is going to be completed. We are working towards that, and we are expecting it to complete it by December this year.
What are we doing? This might be to manager. What are we doing to make sure that the clutter that clogged that area doesn't happen again? Because we were in a meeting several months ago and they were talking about the businesses around it that actually use that for dumping. So what are we doing to make sure after we spend all this money that it doesn't happen again?
That's one of the biggest issues that we have around the city. One of the things that we are planning to do is going out with an RFP for cleaning and maintenance of the canals. We currently have a contract with Miami-Dade County for cleaning the canals. However, that for aesthetics and algae remove, that service is not, what is the nice way? That service is not as strict
Doesn't meet our
as,
needs.
yeah, doesn't meet the needs of the city. That's the nicest word to say. Doesn't meet the needs of the city, and we would like to repeat that process for all the canals, not only for that one, because it's a huge need. It's also that's included in part of the.
Okay, I just want to make sure that all of this money that we're spending, which we do need to spend, that it doesn't happen again or continue to happen with the businesses in that area. Maybe that's something that the manager needs to look at, maybe putting a camera, I don't know, but yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we are doing that as part of the illegal dumping program. So it's several phases. It's first, we're going to renegotiate our contract with Miami-Dade County, which we've already begun to do. Next, we're going to be looking at opening up a transfer station so that our residents have a place within the city to put the dump. And then our third phase of that was we're going to be installing cameras in support of the, also in support of the mayor's illegal dumping initiative.
Do you have a location in mind for the transfer station?
We've started to begin, we've have 3 locations in mind that have the highest level of illegal dumping right now. One of them would be Carroll Lane. The second would be the Commerce North area. And the third is,
Where the old transfer station was located.
yes, that's the third.
What is
station.
it?
Where the old transfer station was located, that's mostly on
Yes,
residential.
by the
area.
train station.
I know we really just got off topic from where you was.
I'm sorry.
And, this is a probably a 2-second question. Is that 3 transfer stations or did you just? we're
No, the
looking
last
at
one is,
picking-
the only one that's the transfer station is the last one.
No, I'm saying, are you gonna, you're proffering 3 different transfer stations or just one?
Just one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just one transfer station, and the rest of the locations will be installing cameras.
Okay, that time you can blame it on Commissioner Bass. She took us off topic.
Can we go to the next slide, please? This is a project that has already been presented to the commission. It is already approved, and we are working into the construction of the fence material. This is Charbondy and Seagull Parks fencing. We started the design process back in March 2022. We are estimating September 2022 for installation and finishing of those projects. This is being funded through DO grants, CRA, and the general fund with a total cost of $328,560 for both phases. Any questions on the fencing?
So the, for Ingram Park,
Yes. Ingram is not included here yet.
what'd you say?
Ingram is not included here yet, but it's in the budget for next year to be presented to the commission.
Oh, yeah, no, the basketball court, right? Yeah, that's what I'm asking about. It's just a basketball court.
Sorry.
Is there a way to, I don't know where it will come from. So maybe this goes under my recommendation for the $1,200,000 that the commission was given. So the 100. So
150,000 for the project. with
yes, for
50,000
the
have been allocated.
resurfacing of the basketball court.
This is, the 50,000 has been allocated for the basketball court. We are missing funds or identifying funds actually for the tennis court to be reconstructed. because that soil needs to be leveled.
Wait, where? Ingram or? Shabana?
Ingram,
Oh, no. But let me explain what I meant. So the basketball court, I guess the project would be 150,000.
yes.
So that's the basketball and tennis, but we know Shabundy doesn't have tennis. So if so I don't know who's taking notes, but if we can look at the basketball courts
Mhm.
for Shabundy.
Okay.
That would be great because that is a heavily used basketball court right now in our area. Right now, as opposed to Ingram, I'm a little confused why we chose a park that's less underutilized as opposed to a park that's more utilized, but I don't know. That's, however, I would like to see definitely, without a doubt, the resurfacing, paint, everything of the basketball court
On
here at
Shabundy.
Shabundy.
Perfect. I'm gonna give you some background why we are doing Ingram at this moment. The reason is because it's sinking, both of the cores are sinking. And at the beginning, we thought it was a drainage issue, a water table issue. We did the test and we came to the conclusion that it was only back construction at the time. So to avoid any lawsuits or anyone passing through there and just falling because it's actually sinking and you
Yeah,
can
so
see
the
it.
whole area is sinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't want that. I just want to give that recommendation
Yeah,
for
we
our
will take notes.
$1.2 million. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next slide, please. Historic City Hall, we started the project back in fiscal year 2012. The project was held for a couple of years. We reinitiated the project back in October last year. An assessment was done on the conditions of the building. It was determined that it needed to be redesigned because the old plans that were presented were not viable. We have already presented to the commission and you have approved a resolution approving the redesign of that building. The estimated project cost is 3,378,000. And we have, as of this moment, GOB funds allocated with an amount of 600,000 and the expenditures today is 2.185. We are expecting to complete this project by February 2023.
And to date, how much money has been spent on this historic city hall since we started?
2.185,000.
$2.1 million has been spent on the city hall,
Yes,
yet we need to, the cost is gonna be $3.3 million.
the estimated total cost of the project, that includes the 2.1. So we are looking into a 1.2 additional funding for finishing that project.
I'll say this, I've been asking about this since I got up here, so you have no fight out of me. I just hope this time that we can complete it by the completion date.
Me too.
She said, me too.
Me too.
But
It's one of
I'm
the-
excited.
it's one
This
of the
part
goals
I'm
of the
excited about.
department to
I'm really
finish this
excited
one.
about it. Good job. Thank you.
Any additional questions on this project? Next project, next slide, please. Is this is the 4.59,000 that you saw at the beginning of the PowerPoint that related to buildings. So this is what is being, this is the detail of those 4.059,000. The police station demolition, we have already issued the RFP. We are waiting for vendors to come and demolish the old police station, 2495 Alibaba Avenue. Demolition plans has already been completed and environmental testing and remediation will be completed and are ongoing as of this moment. We are expecting to demolish that building and start at least the first phase of the remediation process by September 2022. The relocation to the first floor, we have already started the design process. We are expecting to complete the whole project by December 2022. So our police station will be relocated on the first floor where the daycare center was before, with a total cost of $665,000. And this moment we are doing the architectural design for that project.
Now let me ask a question,
Yes, ma'am.
because they're moving from the third floor
Yes.
to the first floor. Now, what's gonna happen with that third floor? And my concern is, you know, the other day I passed by as I was walking out the city hall, I saw officers with people that they had just arrested in the parking lot. And they were taking, I guess, doing the reports. And you could tell that they were having a difficult time trying to get the reports done while the inmates are inside the cars, their SUVs. So is there gonna be like a place where they're gonna be able to hold inmates in the first floor?
Not to hold, because we do not have, I think, not even now in the police station before, we did not have like a jail cell. However, a process area has been determined and with a separate entrance from the public on the backside of 780 Fisherman.
You might want to.
Excuse me, I just want to put on the record that I don't know what's going on with my mic tonight. But for security reasons, if you all can refrain from saying exactly where the holding cell would be, that is not a public record. And so if you can maybe talk online about specific areas for the plans.
Okay.
Thanks.
We can provide you with a copy of what it's going to look like.
So it's just safe to say that the first floor will be outfitted as a police department.
As a police
Period.
department with metal
full
detector
functioning
and
police
everything,
department.
yes, everything.
Okay.
So we just passed funds to outfit the first floor, correct?
Yes,
And then now we're going to turn around and is that within the same year to do the build?
But this is through a grant. It's a
yes, this
Just
is,
the-
It's a grant,
Yeah.
FDLE grant.
No, I know. I'm just saying, so when that, when the build starts, do we have other plans for the first floor after we've already kind of?
no,
Um,
you already passed the resolution.
No, I know. I'm saying after the build starts, so it says the build will start July. Right? Or is
Yeah,
that
well,
relocation?
the design started back in
It's the first
this
floor.
month.
Oh, this is the first floor.
Yeah, it's the first
Yeah,
floor.
this
I'm
is
so
the first
sorry.
floor.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking
That's the
there's a
first floor.
build, like.
No, no, no,
Oh,
this
my
is
bad.
They're gonna
Okay.
just the
relocate from the
layout.
third to the
Got it.
first floor.
It's the same thing. Okay, I'm here with you, Ms. Gross. I'm here. Thank
Don't
you.
worry.
Oh, I see it. It says, see, I'm so blind.
Yeah,
It says it
they're
right
outfitting the
there.
first
Thank
floor.
you. I thought we were actually ready to build. Okay. Station.
Next slide, please.
You said it
Um,
right.
The next building that we are going to be discussing is the Historic Fire Station Restoration. That's the building behind Historic City Hall. We started the design process back in January 2022. We are expecting to complete this building restored and with some enhancement by September 2023. We are anticipating a total project cost of $400,000 with allocated funds as of this moment of $61,000 and expenditures today of $6,000. This project is ongoing with the design, and we are also looking into nationally recognized that building has a historic fire station. As of this moment, it's only recognized by the city, and even that process is not complete. So we are looking into doing that, and the architects are working very hard to do that as well. And the next field, any questions on the historic fire station? The next building will be the HR building. We are going to be demolishing this building. There, after some considerations, the amount that we were going to be spending renovating that building based on the conditions of the current building. And the use that we will have for that building is not to the city best interest. So we are going to be removing that building and adding some terraces and some dining area for support the historic fire city hall once it's completed next year.
Sorry, Mr. Manager, this predates you, but I know there were some talks about turning that building into restrooms. That's not on the table anymore? To support the, what goes on outside the field? There was the park. We was in talks about turning the HR building into restrooms. That's not,
Actually, for the HR building, we did look at every option that we could, but it'd actually be cheaper to demolish
Demolish
and
it.
construct something new rather than
Okay.
try to utilize a formerly historic facility for a restroom.
okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Our next slide. The next, this is not a building, but this is like a suite that we are renovating within 780 to move our building and license department to the first floor. It's going to cost around $25,000. We have already started the process and we expect to complete this project by the end of the month. So people will have access, instead of going to the fourth floor, they will go to the actual first floor right next to the library.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Trying to visualize this part of it.
This, okay. So if you see, you will have this is on the right side of Fisherman, so the first floor. So we will be adding 2 new offices into that area. That's, if you see the entrance to the library, there is a door that is currently closed or locked to the public. We are going to be opening that area, adding an additional door, closing the back of the hallway to avoid people going into the building without security, adding a customer service area, adding a space for the clerk, adding a space for the inspectors, and a space for their storage as well. That's great.
Good job, Mr. Manager.
So here we have pump stations 9, 12, and 16, and this is ongoing. We have already started the design back in March 2022. We are estimating the project, all of them, to be completed by December 2023. This is part of the ARPA funding that we were requesting at the beginning. The total amount for these projects are $1,350,000 with expenditures to date mark on the design part of 30,000 and allocated funds of 250,000. Let's just remember that under the manager guidance, we are actively looking for grants to fund these projects, and we hope to receive them as soon as possible.
So this is just to rehabilitate what already exists, so we're not
Reconstruct. It's
reconstruction.
called rehabilitation, but it's actually reconstruction.
Are we gonna close them in finally, or are they gonna remain open as they are?
They are going to be operating until we can start. the
No, are they gonna be
process.
enclosed? That's what I
Oh,
was asking.
that's part of the idea.
That's part, okay.
So our next project is the Burlington Street Canal. This is the erosion control project. This will include phase 1 of this project. This project was started back in October 2014. The project was stalled, and we returned to this project back in February this year. We are expecting to complete this project by February 2023. We are expediting or working very closely with the engineering firm to expedite those permits so we can finish this project. The total cost for the project is $802,000. And the expenditures today is 346,000. This is being funded through a stormwater fund, FDP, and once the commission makes a decision, ARPA funds. And this will include part of the Ingram area for the canal. Next slide, please. Northwest 127th Street Canal Erosion Control Project. We have an estimated start date of October 2022 to start the design or feasibility study for this project. We are currently meeting with DEO for the execution of the agreement of the $7 million. They have some concerns regarding the drainage and the waterways in the area of 127 and the contamination of that area and feasibility of that project and how will drainage affect the rest of the project. We are still in conversations. We are back and forth. So we are expecting to complete this project by June 2024. And this will cover the areas between 38th Avenue and 32nd Avenue. Question? No?
If I may,
Yes,
I'm looking here and we are going to have fencing around this canal.
yes, we are going to be having fencing around the canal to avoid illegal dumping.
A 35-foot fence.
Oh, no, that's the easement restoration. As of this moment, we actually thought that the commercial businesses in the area have taken part of the easement. Actually is the other way. The canal has eroded so much that the easement has been eaten by the canal. So we are going to be, once the restoration process start, we are going to be restoring that easement to the certified original fit that was intended at the beginning. And adding a fence to avoid the dumping. Our next project, it will be starting July 25th, 2022, is the drainage improvement of Northwest 133rd Street area that will be right next to 42 Legion Road, 42nd Avenue. The project cost is $147,000, and we are installing 6 catch basins, 3 manholes, and pavement into that area, along with French drains. So that project will be done by September, approximately. Any questions on this project? No? Next slide. So we are going to be presenting some future projects that we have listed. The first project, you can go to the next slide. The first project that we are presenting is Ingram Park North entrance with an estimated cost of $80,000. Due to Miami-Dade code, that part should not have one entrance just as I have it at this moment. We need an additional entrance if we want to renovate that park or do any kind of activities into that park. So that entrance is an actual need unless we decide not to move forward with that park any longer.
Okay,
Yes.
I love the idea. It's not even a concern, but a question on, I think that's one, is that Wilmington, I believe, Wilmington?
Yes,
Are you gonna fence off it's on the, okay,
yes, we
Yeah,
are
that-
fencing
that's
off the side of the canal
Mhm.
and adding sidewalk as well as an actual pathway or a roadway to go into the parking lot of Ingram Park.
so that's gonna be the main entrance of the park?
It's
Or
gonna
that's the
be
exit?
an additional entrance
An
or
additional
exit
entrance.
of the park.
And I'm probably over speaking ahead of time, but we're gonna beautify the area and make it like a nice entrance,
Well,
pretty entrance.
you already leading into why we're doing this.
Got it.
The actual reason for this is that currently you'll notice that we don't have any advertisements from or signage from Miami-Dade County, which generally will advertise for parks in that area. One of the reasons why we're adding this additional insurance is that so that Miami-Dade County will fund for us to have advertisements on 22nd Avenue saying, indicating to everyone that Ingram Park is here. And so we have to have a ingress and egress in order to fall under that policy and procedure.
And then, Mr. Manager, I know, again, a little off subject, I preface it by saying that, but that section on Wilmington, will that essentially be a part of the park? Will you develop that area? Or it's just gonna be, I see you looking, that's why I asked, if you want me to shut up, I'll be quiet. But I know, okay, I'm jumping the gun.
You're getting a
I
little
wanna
ahead of
tell
us.
you. I'm sorry.
But we do have special plans
I
for
got
that
excited,
area.
I got excited.
You're getting a little ahead of us, Vice Mayor, but we do have
excited.
special plans for that area.
You know, I love Ingram Park, I got excited.
Me too, don't worry.
We have some very big plans scheduled for Ingram Park.
She told me to shut up, so I'm gonna shh.
Do you have any additional questions for the entrance? Oh, next slide, please. Sharazad Boulevard sidewalk, we are proposing a pathway and additional drainage for Sharazad Boulevard. And this could be in addition to our Main Street initiative. We are estimating a cost of $600,000 for this project. And it's going to be funded through general fund, fuel taxes, and CITT. The idea is to include a pathway on the median, repave and striping on the streets, or actually the boulevard, relocates the street lights, cleaning, repairs, and replacement of the stormwater structure that is currently there, and connects some that have already been cut and are not working as of this moment.
I didn't say anything. I like the
I
idea.
thought you had a question.
I love it. I love it. It's almost like a linear or passive park, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, on Sheriff's Eye.
I
It's
can't
beautiful. I
wait
can't wait. I'm excited
to
about
see
that
it.
too.
Yeah, because we have a lot of residents that actually walk on that median. And they
Yes.
have their dogs and stuff. So we want to add some benches and puppy stations and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And this is 18 months. Okay.
The next slide, please. Safe Street grants. This is streetscapes for Alibaba medians. So the idea for this is to avoid parking in the middle of the avenue and avoid parking on the swells as well. So we can beautify that area. This is an estimated project for 1.2. We are looking funding to the CRA, the general fund, fuel taxes, CITT funds, and the Safe Street grants that we are applying.
Is this the whole Alabama?
The whole Alibaba.
What about so how does this affect the Alabama between 22nd and 27th with all the,
This is one of the major areas of concerns. Because that area, if you go in the middle of the day, you will have trucks parked in the middle.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we want to avoid that and add medians so they cannot park there. That will give some new light to the city and some enhancement to that area.
So starting from 37th Avenue all the way into the triangle.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let me visualize this,
Yes.
since I take that road every day. We're gonna put medians in the road. And I totally see everywhere else,
Mhm.
but right in front of, so if right in, what are those? They're not car deal. What do they do? Work on car maintenance, like car. What do you call them? They work on car. What do you call that? When people work on cars.
Body shop.
Body shops.
Body
Thank you. Jeez.
Body shop.
Chris, next time, give me some Pepsi and not coffee. I need just a cup of Pepsi. So we're gonna put medians in front of there.
Yes.
And then, because one of my concerns have always been, if there's an emergency and we know Alabama is one of our thoroughway streets, Like, I'm always concerned about our police, especially right there, getting from, fishermen down to, going down Alabama to, the other side of Opa-locka. I'm always concerned about that. So now, what's the fail safe? And you know what, that might not be for you, actually. That might be for Mr. Manager. To ensure, I'm gonna look at Ms. Gross, but I guess whoever answers, to ensure that they don't, because I've heard forever, we're doing this, we're doing that, for them to stop parking in the street. Literally,
Yeah.
I
So-
was stuck behind a truck for like 10 minutes the other morning. And then, of course, I'm hoping this repairs the potholes. Every time we patch them up and there's more potholes, and we patch up and so we're really just patching. We're not really
Yeah.
doing a very good job at the potholes. And again, my concern is always, like I keep saying, every time I drive this street, the police, like, how do they get down here from one section of Opa-locka to another based on, so I'll stop talking and let you answer.
No, don't worry. So this is an effort, a team effort, various departments efforts. First of all, we are working with the Public Works Department, the Code Enforcement Department, to avoid parking in those areas. And the reason I mentioned, and the Police Department as well. The reason I mentioned Public Works is because we have a project of swales regrading. The swales regrading will avoid two issues. First of all, it will be parking on those streets, and that will be citywide actually, and installing plants into those medians, into those swales, so they cannot park. It has been very effective on Northwest 30th Avenue. We installed ponds into that area. We still have some parking, but I can assure you it's less than we was a few months ago. So that's one of the ways that we are going to avoid that. Plus the fact that we are installing green infrastructure, it will avoid the flooding into that area because the water, it will actually go down.
Okay, sounds good. One of the recommendations I made way back, probably about a year ago, was to install the pay to park signs. So that if the body shops have cars, then that's an easy ticket, because they're not going to pay. We know that they're the ones that pull all the cars out, and then, and then I guess at the end of the day, pull them back in sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just saying, the pay by park by pay,
Park to pay.
whichever sounds better. That's another option as a revenue source for the city, but if the plants work, I hope they work and they don't run them down. Because I'm just trying to imagine when I see a truck, and that's what held me up 10 minutes, that had the big truck with all the cars on it, right? And we're all waiting for this truck to turn into one of the body shops, and it had about 10 cars, how they stack them up. So, how do you stop that? I just foresee that truck trying to turn into a body shop, and now we have medians. So really, we're just going, two directions. No one can go around them because there's a median. So, but I love the idea because something needs to happen.
That will seize those big trucks, because instead of having one big towing truck, they will have to send smaller.
It would say that again.
They will have to send a smaller trucks so they can fit into that road and avoid the parking.
Listen, I'm doing this. Please. Thank you.
Is there any way that maybe they can have those business owners have maybe a schedule? Because, this is all new.
Mhm.
All this is new, and I think this is great because I've seen the difference from what it was before to what it looks like now. And believe me, when I pass by there and I stop and I see these truck drivers and owners, I'm always telling them, hey, you guys need to follow what was put in place.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're working together. We tell everybody, don't park there. You can't do this, don't do that. But maybe if there would be, it's just like deliveries. When they have a set time to make a delivery, these truck drivers, they can't deliver, like, let's say they're going to deliver from Walmart or something. They can't deliver until the set time that they're supposed to do. They can't go before, oh no, I'm gonna go an hour early because I'm there. I mean, maybe that's something that they can work with the business owners where they can have a time where it's not so busy.
Yeah.
That they can, because they're gonna still be here,
I
I'm
guess we can
just-
work with the community development agency, Mr. Manager, to do that.
maybe.
Yes. Any additional questions on the medians for Aliva? No? Then we are moving forward to the next slide. Our next slide is Sherbondi Park parking lot. This will be additional parking for this park. And is the lot located across the street that belongs to the city. We have an estimated cost for this project of 120,000. This will include at least 45 to 50 parking spaces with drainage and in and out, so we can have residents and visitors park on a safe place.
Love the idea. But my other question is, Mr. Manager, is there any way for us to be able to acquire the property where the hotel used to be to extend that parking lot, or not right now? Got it.
I would, yes, I would love to. I would love to explore that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Any additional questions on that? Next slide, Lugo. The next project is citywide striping. Even though we are re-striping the streets that we are paving and doing restoration, we still have some streets that are in good condition and they only need striping. So we are estimating 180,000 with a $60,000 per phase. And this will be a 3 years process, and this will be addressing those streets that are not in need of repair, but they are in need of striping, including some parking areas. The proposed funding source for this is the People's Transportation Plan. Any questions? No? Next slide, please. So this is the project that I was talking about before. This is the swells regrading. We have an estimated project cost of 800,000. This is citywide with an estimated construction timeline for 24 months. And the proposed funding source for this is a stormwater funding, and this includes regrading of the additional of the swell, adding plants and resorting of the swell as well. So this will provide us with infrastructure, green infrastructure to avoid flooding. This is why it's coming out of the stormwater funds. Next slide.
And I'm
Yes.
sorry, this addresses, you said the whole city, right?
Yes, it is citywide.
Okay, a little off subject, but I'll ask the manager offline. Yep.
So the next slide is stormwater projects that are needed throughout the city. And some of these projects you will have seen it already because this is what encumbers Commerce North area that was proposed. And this is Alexander Drive, 38th Avenue and 38th Core between Northwest 125th and 135th Street. That is 1.3 and the estimated timeline for completion is 18 months. In this area, first, we are going to be doing an assessment for the drainage to see if it's working, if additional drainage is actually needed. But we are declogging the actual drainage existing there for, at least for that area that is Nile Gardens, we are declogging that drainage to make future recommendations. The next one is Alibaba Avenue. That's part of it is already included into the North Bay and North Commerce area. And 147th Street that is expecting a 1.8 only for that section that include the agencies, the streets on the ladders. Next slide, you don't have any questions on these projects. So the police station final relocation and / emergency operations center with an estimated cost of 7 millions. An expected construction and design timeline of 24 months. We are proposing a grant for this. We have several grants available that we are applying for, and that we can receive funding for an emergency operations center as well as a police station.
That's where if I'm not mistaken, where the parking lot is, right?
Yes.
By the
So we
train
are
tracks.
repurposing that parking lot. We are doing a parking lot of actually 2 floors of parking in the ground floors, and the rest will be for the police station and for the emergency operations center.
It's 3 floors, 4 floors, 3, 4,
Yes. Well,
4.
4. Yeah.
Just 4.
Yes. 4.
4 floors, including the 2 parking.
Yes.
Spaces.
And aside for offices in the first floor.
Okay.
The manager hates when I ask this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What's the timeline?
24 months. 24 months after we receive funding.
What's the start date?
We need to receive the funding. We are already applying for the grants. Can she repeat it?
She said they
When
applied.
they get the money? that's
We are
when-
applying, we don't
They don't
have
have
the
it yet.
funding
Oh,
available
okay.
yet,
Applying
but
for
we are applying
grants.
for it when we most likely get the funding approval because it's for a safety, a structure that we are trying to pursue.
What about the, I'm sorry,
That's
what
okay.
about the parking lot that we own that Chin Medical has?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
lost me there.
What about that? Are we, have we spoken to them? And I mean, are they what, like paying us for? it? I don't know. They've kind of taken over the parking
Not
lot.
kind of, they certainly have.
They have, yes. They've taken over our city parking lot.
Absolutely, they have. So we've requested meetings with them. We've had one meeting with them. I am preparing to send them an official notice that we will be taking enforcement action on the parking lot to bring them to the table for discussion.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are we talking about the parking lot right on Alibaba? Across from the juice shop?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. This is great. Thank you.
Next slide, please, Lugo. So the next slide is milling resurfacing phase 6. We have a project cost of 105,000. We are going to be redoing or repaving Frontage Road, Herring Avenue, Sherrard Avenue. And we are expecting to start this project in October when the new fiscal year arrives and ending it by January 2023.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
We are expecting to start this project in fiscal year 23. That will be October. 105,000 for phase 6 of milling and resurfacing.
For water play at Ingram.
No, that's Frontage
Oh,
Road.
I'm sorry.
Herring
I went
Avenue.
ahead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I saw wakeboarding.
So, yes. Next slide. So
Now we're on Ingram. Okay,
Yes.
let's go.
Now we
I'm
are
ready.
So this is actually a very exciting project. I have been criticized because I go to Amelia Earhart Park to have lunch. So this is Ingram Park. We are trying to renovate that park. We want to, we already have people doing activities on the water main, on the waterways there. So the idea is to bring revenue to the city and to renovate and do something with that blank area that we have on Ingram, specifically on Wilmington Street. So the idea for this, if you will see, you will have the entrance, the north entrance that have been already presented. On that specific side of Wilmington, we have some development area on some development proposal for actual housing there. We will also have on that side that has been determined as the Brownsfield, that's called Cuyahoga, we are going to be doing a wakeboarding park. And if that's not possible, we are moving that wakeboarding park to the actual Wilmington area. We are going to be adding pavilions, rental spaces, around for jet skis, parking space, and if we get to the other side, we will get some big supermarkets or stores in that area as well, so we can demonize it. Yes.
Okay, so going east down Wilmington,
Mhm.
south of that, you're just saying housing development.
Housing
What
development,
Cuyahoga is, you're gonna develop that for supermarkets and.
supermarket, and the wakeboarding park with a
wakeboarding
ramp.
park. Okay.
Yes, and some pavilions and areas for family entertainment or adult entertainment.
Mr. Manager, could we explore maybe not a water park on steroids, but maybe one of those splash parks,
Splash Park.
something in that area,
Absolutely.
in the Ingham Park area, because it already had waterways. So to beautify that for the children, you
Absolutely.
said absolutely, yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
That actually, that it's already
It's
included
planned.
in this
That's in the
design.
Okay.
Yes, it's
It,
planned.
you
should've
cannot
said
see it
that.
because it's too small, but that little area that you see in great, I think it will be on your copy. That includes that splash.
Splash park, okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Excited.
Any additional questions? on that?
Question,
Yes.
how much, would this be a 50-50 general fund and CRA?
Yeah, Mr. Manager.
So we are in the earlier stages of planning for this. We're actually having discussions about doing a public-private partnership with some private developers that are willing to support this project moving forward so that, and then participate in the revenue stream on the back end.
Got it. No, this is great. I can tell you splash pads, every city that have them make a lot of money because I hang out at them a lot.
And Madam Attorney, tell me if I can't speak on this, but in regards to Cuyahoga, I know there was an issue with so is that taken into consideration with this? That's to the manager. If I can't speak on it, let me know and I'll be quiet. With the land of Cuyahoga.
I don't have that information with me. So if you think that it involves current litigation, I would ask that you let the manager and I speak with you after the meeting.
Got it.
Can I move forward? Okay, next slide. New sidewall phase 4. This will cover residential areas with a project estimated cost of 125,000 and starting in October this year with a construction timeline up to January 2023. Funding source, it will be general fund, fuel taxes, and CITD funds. Next slide. So these are citywide water and sewer projects. We have a citywide asbestos pipe mitigation estimated cost of 12 million and estimated timeframe once that process start is 48 months for completion. The next project is citywide drinking water pipe replacement. It doesn't mean that it's asbestos, but we are replacing to increase the pressure of the water from 2 inches to 6 inches, and also doing some meter relocation. This is a citywide project of for about $60 million with a total completion time of 72 months. Manhole rehabilitation and lining for the remaining 15 pump stations, 1.5 million and 24 months of completion time. Next slide. So both commerce areas, the total amount will be 14 million, that's total amount estimated. 14,750,000 with a estimated time frame of construction and design of 72 months. The next one is the pavement management system and city assets inventory of for an estimated cost of 50,000. We already have an RFP out for this program. This will allow the city to prioritize what needs to be replaced, restored, or redesign with citywide. For citywide lighting, we have an actual issue of darkness within the city that has been a complaint of our residents. We are estimating to relight the whole city and change to full LED and lights that serve more to the purpose. We have an estimated budget or estimated cost of 4,500,000. This process will take 36 months to be completed once it starts, and the city signage improvement, 750,000 in 24 months. The citywide signage and citywide lighting will be as a result of the pavement management system and city assets inventory. We are doing the assessment first so we can decide where is mostly needed. And that's an estimated citywide project for $20,050,000. Next slide, we don't have any questions on that one. So this is a recap of what was presented at the beginning. We have available ARPA funds of $8 million with an independent consultant firm fee for $400,000. The staff recommended projects is around $6,370,000. And that will leave an available funding of $1,229,775 for the commission. So next slide. And this is the last slide, I'm sorry. And this is the last slide. This is for the input that you would like to provide on proposed projects for those remaining funds of ARPA if the projects that we presented are approved or accepted.
So the time is now 8:23. And the last slide is asking us what we would like to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling some kind of ways. But anyway, I am going to see or ask the commission. Is this something like do you need our ideas? Because I don't know if we have flushed out ourselves. We weren't given any heads up to know to bring our ideas here tonight. So when is the turnaround that we can come up, give that information to the manager's office?
We have until 2024
Okay.
to spend these funds.
But we can
Well, we
email
don't-
you, right?
No, we don't, huh?
To encumber, sir.
I'm actually agreeing with you.
No, I know we have, I'm saying, I know we want to get the ball moving, right? So how much time,
No,
because we don't want to hold up other projects as well. I mean, there's some really great projects that need to happen, but I guess if you can tell us a month or, less
much-
than, can we have another workshop where we bring our information there or?
You could individually email your thoughts and ideas to
Okay.
me, And we could start acting on them immediately and then do a follow-up workshop in September.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of out, but, well, we don't want nothing in August, please.
I'd like
Um,
the first, we could just email you. and
Can
then
we-
you submit it.
Can we do like a jot form instead of just plain old email, like a jot form where we're, plugging up that information or Google
Absolutely.
survey, or I just trying to bring us into like,
Yes, I think
something where
that's-
we can add, yes, Madam
Yes,
Attorney.
yes, Madam Mayor, in terms of the ideas, he won't be able to do that. He can do that for scheduling meetings and things like that. But for ideas that you all may have prior to, outside of a meeting, that would be problematic. So
Problematic.
in
Why?
terms of you said in terms of a job form, that outside of a regular commission meeting, just to compile your ideas, that would be, kind of a sunshine issue. But for meetings, if he were just scheduling a meeting,
Okay.
that's fine, but not
Great.
for your ideas. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Just for
but we can also
clarification, you
meet,
mean-
oh, I'm sorry. No.
Just for clarification, individual meetings, correct?
Individual meetings are fine,
Okay.
but to
that's what-
put that on a form and give it to
Agreed.
them, that's the problem.
Okay. So I guess between individual meetings and then having going back to seeing the ideas that we would like to do. I mean, I would like to also research what other cities are doing to see specifically for their residents. I definitely think that we need to do more. If we can figure out how to add more to, I would like to see this go to 2 million as opposed to, or at least 1.5. No, that's too low. So that, yes, 2 million, so that we can do more for our residents as opposed to what I'm seeing here. I would appreciate that, because that's what I think as residents, that's where our minds are always going to default back to. We're going to default to how our neighbors will be getting help based off of the funds. And I guess I'm asking the commission, do you all agree or disagree, or any ideas? Are you all?
I totally agree with us working directly with the manager in this portion.
No, I'm saying to raise
Oh, to
to
raise.
2 million as opposed to
2 million.
1.2.
But then my question would be, how would that affect the projects that we have on hand?
Mhm,
So
it
you have to
will.
pull-
We have, we actually have an $800,000 buffer in there with the Miami Gardens water and sewer project,
Mhm.
to where we could easily allocate that to $2 million.
Okay, perfect. Great.
And Mr. Manager, and even to the mayor's point with the what was that thing that you said? At the minutes? Could we do a poll to our residents to see what they want? To get community
Survey,
engagement
yeah.
with this, for just this portion of it?
For
that
the
something that we
utilization
can
of the
do?
$2 million?
Yeah,
Yes. So I
Okay.
think the best way to do that is still to meet with you all individually, get a list of projects that you think the residents would like to see, and that will inform our poll.
no. I
Or
would
can we do
actually
like a
ask them to
town hall?
Start up, like, let the
Oh, yes,
residents.
I-
pick.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe,
Yeah.
are we in agreement? Maybe, can
And
we
let
do it,
them
like, let's do a
decide.
town hall
Yes.
and ask them what they would like to see? So, yeah, let's make it happen.
And then that way, in
Okay.
that town, hall, I agree with the town hall,
Yes.
you can explain in general what we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
So they won't conflict.
Exactly.
'Cause you have
Are you
some-
considering September or August?
Definitely September.
September, got it.
Please, no August. So let me say this, I think we're gonna wrap up, correct? Was there anything else? Because that was the last page. So Commissioner Bass, did you have anything else to say? Are you good?
I just said to the clerk to schedule me a Zoom meeting with the residents to let them know what we were doing and to have their input, even before you guys said what you did.
Oh, but-
But it's basically the same.
Yeah, we're doing a town
but
hall.
We're doing a town hall.
Yeah, but I'm saying before you guys said that, that's what I said to
Oh,
her.
awesome.
But I
Look at
said a
that.
Zoom meeting where we can see their faces and have a data, put in input.
Yeah,
And it don't have to be in September, because if we do it on Zoom, we can do it from home.
well, I think the only reason is we kind of have to flush out and like really explain
Mhm.
to the residents. I mean, because when you hear 8 million and now we're only talking about 2 million, I think we're gonna have to kind of put together just a simple presentation for the residents to let them know where that money is going to. I don't know if a Zoom is gonna
I mean,
be.
you're right, but at the same time, I think we
Um,
might have more participation going Zoom versus in person.
No, we could do both.
Okay.
It could be hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do a hybrid model
Or even start a campaign on
or start
the
a
city's
campaign.
website where they can
Yeah,
email,
where they can-
submit through, what's the?
Jot form.
No, through the,
Click it or ticket.
click,
See, click, fix. See, click, fix.
Do a campaign through See Click Fix where they can,
Yeah.
Tell
What do
ideas.
you want to see for your city?
yeah, what do you want to see for your city campaign?
Well, Ms. Gross, I believe that it is safe to say that we are all going to wake up one day and the entire city is going to be under construction, which is a great thing. So we are excited to see. Thank you so much to the manager's office, to every department, actually all staff that worked on this presentation. And I believe our firm worked on this. I don't know the name. No. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Wait a minute.
Benjamin the Gross worked on this.
Yes, it was the capital improvement projects in the city manager's office.
Yes.
Capital improvement projects from the city manager's office.
So kudos to
Amazing. Thank you
you.
so much. One last thing before I close. Public comments is open. That's not my fault. That's
One other thing, I need an announcement. I need to make the announcement that we talked about recently
But can I,
for Wednesday night, if I can. Let me just get it up, please.
can I close public comments real quick?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Public comments is closed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry to interrupt. I just didn't want to forget. Notice is hereby given that a private closed door session will be held pursuant to section 447.605 Florida statutes in the commission chambers, Shabundy Village Auditorium, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, or in some other nearby room designated by the city manager on May the 20th, 2022 at 5:30 PM, or will be moved to an adjoining room. Union negotiations between the city of Opa-locka and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. The following individuals will attend: Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Taylor, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Dominguez, Interim City Manager Darvin Williams, and City Attorney Bernadette Norris Weeks, Assistant City Attorney Sherlon McWhorter, Assistant City Attorney Michelle Austin Pammies, and Assistant City Attorney Candace Cobb. And on the record court reporting, the meeting is anticipated to last approximately 10 minutes. On that same day, another meeting will take place to start approximately 5:40 PM on May the 20th, 2022, or soon thereafter, for the purposes of meeting to discuss the following matter: union negotiations between the city of Opa-locka and Dade County Police Benevolent Association, PBA, also known as South Florida Police Benevolent Association. The following individuals will attend: Mayor Williams, Vice Mayor Taylor, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Dominguez, Interim City Manager Darvin Williams, City Attorney Bernadette Norris Weeks, and Assistant City Attorneys Sherlon McWhorter, Michelle Austin Pammies, and Candace Cobb. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, anything else from anyone else? Right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Taylor, second by Commissioner Dominguez. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening. We're adjourned.